Hey, it's Patrick. The month of July is National Carpet Cleaning Month, and because of that, and because it's the month of the 4th, Zero Res is offering 3 rooms, Zero Resified, starting at just $129, and get a 4th room free. Carpets, tiles, rugs, upholstery, basically every surface in your home can be Zero Resified, so it's time to call the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Might be wrapping up from graduation season or getting ready to host those summer barbecues, to make sure the inside of your house is Zero Res clean. Zero Res is a 4.9 rating with over 18,000 reviews, and the Zero Res 30-day Gotta Love It guarantee makes it easy to get what you pay for. Schedule your appointment today at ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZERO-RES and ask for the AM 950 special. Again, this month, that's 3 rooms Zero Resified, starting at just $129, and get a 4th room free. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Hey, this is Ellie Krug with Ellie 2.0 Radio. Did you know that we've been doing this show for 6 years on AM 950? And it's one of the only, I think it may be the only show about idealism in all of Radioland. And now the show's at 4 o'clock on Saturdays and still from 1 to 2 on Sundays. It'll be part of a new concept, a series of LGBTQ hosted shows and podcasts. Make sure to check it out.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Rain and storms possible tonight with a low of 66. Then sunshine Wednesday with a high of 83. The annual sale at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is going on now through July. Woodland Stoves has been finding a place for fire in your life since 1977. Visit their showroom in Minneapolis at Franklin and Riverside or go to woodlandstoves.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Haley, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Yes, you are right, Dega. This portion of the show is supported by Native-owned J.S. Bean Factory off Randolph Avenue in St. Paul. Only the good stuff keeps us awake.
You know, they've been, I am awake. Hey, I see what you did there. Hey, you know, they've been with us since day one, and I just want to give them a special shout out. Great coffee. And I got to tell you this quick story, Haley, before we get our guest on, is that when this show was started because of Standing Rock and, you know, Dakota Access Pipeline, and one of the big, you know, we went there 3 or 4 times, Wendy and I, and every time we went there, we would take 50 pounds of coffee from Steve's coffee shop for free to bring to people at Dakota Access Pipeline and at Standing Rock, and all the water protectors there were drinking Steve's coffee. And I just want to give Steve a shout out. He supports our community with his coffee and with his just being him. So I just wanted to give him a
Yeah.
shout out of that. That was like an important thing that I remember from like
Oh.
the beginning of the show, but also the show starting during Standing Rock and Dakota Access Pipeline.
Wow. Yeah. Thanks for saying that. I don't think I had ever heard that story. So,
I
wow,
did.
that really kept people awake out there, huh?
Yeah, it was good you always had to have coffee around the sacred fire there at Standing Rock, and a lot of people donated a lot of stuff, but I just wanted to give a special shout out to Steve for sending me with all that coffee every time we went. So
Absolutely.
so we got our special guest on today, as always, and we want to bring Ruth on. And Ruth Buffalo is the president and CEO of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center here in the Twin Cities, and we always love to have an update with Ruth and talk over things and see what's happening. Ruth, welcome as always to Native Roots Radio, and we really appreciate you coming on. And we know your time is super valuable.
Yes. Hello, and Madzigabads. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So how are things going? I know we had a Fourth of July situation here, and I know Haley and I were up at Red Lake, and that was the first time I'd ever been at Red Lake, and celebrating in a good way with the Red Lake community up there. And and it seems like it's been a couple weeks since you've seen you, but it's been because of that 4th of July experience.
Yeah, for sure. It was my family's first time spending some time in the cities. So yeah, it was nice to be together. And yeah, we weren't able to make it out west to western North Dakota, to Fort Berthold Indian Reservation. But yeah, we were here, just having fun with family and family time, I guess you could say.
That's awesome. And I got to meet your husband for the first time and had a nice conversation with him. It's just great that your family is here, and we can support you in the work, and then in turn you can support us here, and that's been just a great partnership. How are you doing? Has it been like 6 months that you've been the head of this organization?
No, not even 6 months, but yeah, it was good to see you both at the Four Sisters Farmers Market. That's where I actually got these earrings. I really love them because they're like super lightweight, and then they're abalone shell. Yeah, I have another pair too. But yeah, we're in the process of transitioning down to the Twin Cities area and sort of tying up loose ends and things. But I began employment, or I took over the post, I guess you could say, or transitioned into the CEO president position March 4th. So it's about going on 4 months, I would say. March, April, May, June. Yeah, this month it will be 5 months. So it's been good. I mean, it's been good. It's been good. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of challenges, and a lot of it has to do with the way Native Americans are treated in the community, and to fight for our people and have all these services that you guys have in a good way. That's draining, and it's also really good work too. So it's what are you doing for your mental health? I guess it's good to have your family there, but you have to take care of yourself too.
Yes, for sure. And I used to, lead a wellness program at a tribal college for 7 years. And so, yes, it's always like a good reminder to get back to the basics and sort of like practice what, we were teaching students, because I used to be an adjunct health and wellness instructor at United Tribes Technical College years ago. And so we're trying to incorporate some of the, self-care and even like a half hour of wellness during the workday outside of your lunchtime. But yeah, trying to really stay grounded, and I like meditation. And so I went through a process last October, and it was really, really good. And it's a tool or a mechanism to help us heal, but also to change like negative patterns, negative thought patterns. And so kind of rewiring how we think and how we respond to different things in life. So yeah, I think of that. I think it's been a helpful tool. And the things that are provided, like we have access to just different learning tools and things that really are there to help support. So it's really comes down to finding time to make sure and staying disciplined, but finding the time to take time to meditate, and just doing it. I think it's easier said than done, but to then get into a routine to make sure that it becomes a habit is important.
Yeah, and mental health is really important. And like I said, it's you're not only working and supporting our community, but you have a family and you have your own mental health. And it's stuff that we like to talk about here on Native Roots Radio too, is how are you doing that, because you have a heavy load, and it's good and you're up to the task, but it's still a heavy load. And we think of you often here on Native Roots Radio, and we're glad that you can come in and check in and tell us what your organization and what you need and how we can support you. And I just really cherish the time that we get you on the air, Ruth. I really appreciate you and your family.
Mods of good odds. Thank you. I appreciate it. That support means a lot and goes a long way. And you're right. It is a heavy load, a big responsibility, because we're trying to help, the most vulnerable among us. And we have to be well ourselves in order to be effective, and serve our relatives, our client relatives, to the best of our ability.
Absolutely. Hey, we're here with Ruth Buffalo, President and CEO of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis. We'll be right back with Ruth after this short break.
When we heal from our traumas,
when we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl. Howl!
Bonjour, hello. My name is Wabin. I am an enrolled member of the White Earth Nation, descendant of the Navajo Nation, and co-chair of the Indigenous Employee Resource Group with the Minnesota Department of Transportation. MnDOT is hiring for a variety of positions from road maintenance to accounting and more. We offer great benefits. For more information or to set up a one-on-one resume and application assistance, visit mn.gov/careers, or you can text or call 612-257-2388. 612-257-2388.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition.
Hey, we're here with our friend Ruth Buffalo, who is president and CEO of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis. And we just appreciate Ruth. And Ruth, you know, some of your history too. I just want to remind our listeners out there that you were a state representative, and you have an iconic photograph of you being sworn in the first time. And that's kind of how I met you. I saw that picture, and then I think I saw you, geez, I don't know if it was Wounded Knee or first time I met you, or anniversary of Wounded Knee, and you were speaking at a church there, and I came up and introduced myself. And then, I don't know, were you at the presidential debate too in Iowa? Maybe that's where I met you too.
Yeah. Yep, Sioux City, Iowa. And then I was at a fundraiser for a women's shelter in St. Paul too. And I think
that wrestling match.
Yeah. Yeah.
And State Senator Mary Kunish, and she was representative there, interviewed you.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yep. I remember. Yeah.
And then one of the things too I wanted to bring up, and we bring up with these old veterans that were on the when COVID hit, you were huge in and didn't miss each week. On Sundays, we did a Sunday night symposium, and it was a check-in all over the Turtle Island with leaders and what was happening with COVID. And we knew COVID was insane, and people, I mean, we didn't know how it was spread. People were taking their clothes off if they were at the door and things like that. We didn't know. And you had so many connections and people you've known over the years that came on and spoke their truth. There was a doctor, that first Native American woman doctor that you brought on, and I think you played basketball with her.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Dr. Shelley Tom. Yeah, I used to play independent ball with a group of Dene women. I was the only Northerner on the team for a while there. And then I later, started playing with teams from back home. But yeah, when I was in my younger days, I played independent ball. And then for a number of years, it was with a number of women who were Dene, and all of them had played Division I basketball, and one being the first Native woman to play in the WNBA, Rinaldi Basenti. And so, yeah, at Arizona State University. And she actually came to Fort Berthold Indian Reservation one year when Indian Nationals was held in Bismarck, and we took her around, to each of the different 6 segments or districts within our reservation or community. And I think she even was the keynote speaker at the junior high athletic banquet in Twin Buttes. But yeah, it was an interesting time during COVID, and a very interesting time to be an elected office at that time, because of in North Dakota, you serve 4 years in one term. And so we're pretty unique in that regard. Mm-hmm. I get the stats mixed up, but it's either 1 of 5 and 1 of 4. 1 of 5 states. North Dakota is 1 of 5 states that serves 4-year terms instead of 2-year terms in the state legislature. And then also the legislature meets every other year instead of every year, and but during the pandemic, yeah, like my first session, was completely night and day to my second session. And my second session was right during the pandemic, so it was a extremely polarized session. It was really, really interesting.
Yeah, it was hard to maneuver, and I want to kind of jump back to that. You were so important, and we were getting 20,000 people watching us on our Sunday symposium, and that were checking in all over Indian country, and you were huge in that, and we had that for at least, God, I want to say at least 3 months every Sunday, because we didn't know what was going on, and it was kind of interesting. We were supporting each other in a good way, and Trump was president, and he tried to delist a tribe that was one of the first tribes to meet the Mayflower, and it was insane times, but it was good to be able to hear people's truth and how they were getting through with things.
Yes, for sure. I mean, I remember watching the inauguration of the new president, and I believe, I was, my family had gotten sick during the beginning of my session, and I was actually hospitalized, 5 days with pneumonia, and then the QAnon conspiracy theories and all of that happening at that time. I remember one of our leaders told me, when I got discharged, I think Thursday night, and I was going to go to the House floor session the next day and go to my House Ag Committee meeting Friday morning at 10 a.m., but I was told it was probably best that I head back to Fargo and come back Monday morning, because they had just moved all of my hearings to my bills. They pushed them back a week because I was hospitalized, but because of how polarized things were, they recommended that I just not show up Friday, because they had just moved all of my bill hearings back a week because I was hospitalized. And so just interesting things to look back at. And I remember even what was happening at the nation's capital. People at the legislature were scared they were afraid and concerned on whether or not to go into the legislative session on certain days, and I was a member of some of Biden's policy committees, public health and behavioral health. And so it was interesting also to watch the inauguration and things and see Bernie sitting in the crowd, because I was a Bernie delegate, but got asked to be a part of Biden's policy committees during that summer when he was, running for his first term. And it was interesting, but it was kind of neat to see how they mapped out the first 100 days and, what to achieve. And we sort of had a small part in that. So watching the inauguration, on TV kind of hit a little bit differently, because it felt like we kind of had a part in it.
Yeah. And Bernie had his mittens on, and
yeah.
Somebody knitted me or crocheted me a Bernie doll with his mittens on.
I love all the memes, especially the native memes that were circulating through social media of Bernie.
Well, mine was a favorite, was Thomas and from Smoke Signals. They were in the bus, and Bernie was sitting behind them in the seat with his mask on. My favorite ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was all Bernie. But just before that, though, I mean, when we were talking about when COVID first came around, it was interesting because there was no vaccine, and we forget about that. So when you have pneumonia and when you're sick, we don't know how far that's going or who else is going to catch it. Well, we have a short memory, but I do remember that when we start talking about it, it's heavy duty.
For sure. I mean, it was, and then, the vaccines were a contentious item, and masks were a contentious item, and in the state legislature, amongst the legislators, and even trying to ask to sit on the outside circle of committee rooms. And I'm not crying around or complaining or anything, but just sharing a little bit of that experience, how people weren't very compassionate, and nobody really told me when I left the hospital that I would be almost like breathing out of a straw, after you have pneumonia. And I literally fought to get out within, because I felt like the longer I was staying in there, I was getting worse, and
Wow.
with different things. And so, yeah, I just had to get out of there. It was kind of a scary time. And so, because I had an aunt that passed away a month before that from pneumonia. And then so my children were super scared, and but and then wearing a mask in the legislature after still trying to get your lungs back, was extremely challenging.
Yeah, I mean, there's reasons why we don't want to remember that. It was pretty traumatic. People.
Yeah.
We talked to our friend Dr. Stately about this, and Dr. Stately, and he almost died. He had COVID in the hospital, and he was very, very sick and made it out of it. But and that was before the vaccines and all that would protect us and make us less sick. I want to, we got like a minute left, and I want to circle back and talk about your organization. And again, I want you to give us a quick update and how people can support you and support your work.
Yes, please donate if you can. It is going to take some heavy lifting to get MIWRC back into a strong place, and to continue being the historic pillar that MIWRC is in the community. And so, we're approaching our 40th anniversary on September 16th. So I just want to encourage everybody to follow us at our new Facebook page, and it's all in caps, at MIWRC. We also have the old Instagram account, MIWRC Minneapolis, MPLS on Instagram, but donate, miwrc.org/donate. Madzigadad, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for all you do for the community. We'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Hi, I'm Chuck Manette, owner of Native Concrete and Masonry. With concrete and masonry adding substantial value to your home, it's always a great idea to repair your sidewalks or just add a beautiful new patio. Cracks or heaving in your sidewalks due to tree roots can be dangerous. Native Concrete and Masonry has helped clients across the metro to make their outdoor space safer and helped increase the value to their homes. For patios, sidewalks, driveways, or garage slabs, go to nativeconcretemasonry.com.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
The Powderhorn Art Fair is celebrating 33 years of community and local art on the weekend of August 3rd and 4th. This year's event will be the biggest yet with a record number of artists and vendors. Over 190 local and regional artists will exhibit their work, offering diverse art from clay and digital art to jewelry and woodwork. Floral and garden vendors will bring extravagant bouquets and blooming artistry to the park. And the Powderhorn Art Fair will highlight local businesses, arts nonprofits, and eco-conscious upcycle artists. Whether you're an art enthusiast or a casual buyer, there's something for everyone. Plus, enjoy sweet and savory treats from more than 20 food trucks. There's the kid-friendly family zone, packed with creative activities. And don't miss the on-site DJ providing vibrant sounds throughout the weekend. The Powderhorn Art Fair is free to the public with proceeds supporting PPNA community initiatives. Make plans to head to the Powderhorn Art Fair on Saturday and Sunday, August 3rd and 4th from 10 to 5 at Powderhorn Park in Minneapolis. More at powderhornartfair.com.
I'm Dr. Stefano Sinacropi, an orthopedic spine surgeon and wellness evangelist, hosting the brand new Recharging the Human Battery show on AM 950 radio. My co-host Mandy Dickey and I will delve into various health topics, ranging from medicine to nutrition to exercise, emerging technologies, and yes, some way out there stuff. Will provide a balanced view of today's landscape, helping listeners navigate its complexities and hoping to change the way you think about your health. Recharging the Human Battery airs Saturdays at 11 a.m.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Rain and storms possible tonight with a low of 66. Then sunshine Wednesday with a high of 83. MIWRC's Real Roast Beef has the best roast beef in the Twin Cities and so much more. MIWRC's is located in Roseville on Lexington Avenue, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Visit their website at MIWRCsbeef.com.
This is Leonard Peltier. I am in Coleman 1, U.S. Penitentiary, and I'm listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native Concrete and Masonry. Check out their work at nativeconcretemasonry.com and give Chuck a call at 612-597-0421.
Keep those phones ringing. Hey, Haley, we're really excited. We're going to be talking to the Minneapolis Park and Rec Board here and get some information and stuff. Could you do me a big favor and introduce everybody?
Absolutely. I would love to. Well, we're here right now with Carrie de Aspinwall, Emma Pachuta, and Carrie Christensen of the Minneapolis Parks and Recs Board. And we're here to talk about current and future plans. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening.
Yeah, big P&G. Thank you, Haley, and welcome. And we've had a conversation before, and we're really excited to talk again. And I want to just throw this question out with right away to everybody is what is the park board up to with the native acknowledgement work that you've been working on? Can you tell us a little bit about that? And maybe we can go to our friend here. Let's see, who should I pick, Haley?
Yeah.
No.
Well, Carrie de Aspinwall, we do have two Carries on right now.
Oh, I'm so confused.
Carrie, great to see you. I think the last time I, was on the show with you was probably when guest host Robert Lilligren took over and invited you on. So welcome back. And how are the, native representations and all of that coming along with the parks?
Bonjour. We're so glad to be back on the show this evening. Carrie de Aspinwall. I'm a member of the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe, urban member, lifelong urban member, Minnesota Chippewa Tribe, consulting with the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board on their Indigenous Reconciliation Action Plan. We've been doing quite a bit. These guys are at a fast pace. They really want to, they're committed and they're backing it up with resources to make some changes within this huge system, 140-year system. And that's what I said too. I did quite a bit of research before actually saying yes, because I thought I was supposed to be shuffling off to Buffalo, and they're like, oh no, you're not going anywhere yet. So I do have the honor of helping these good folks with their desire to include our Indigenous voices and re-engage our people, especially the Dakota people. Historically, as you all know, this is historically Dakota territory. And so again, the park board holds about 8,000 acres of land, water, and sky, I always say. And
Right.
that's 800 parks, and so it's quite a bit. They're very squarely centered here within our territory, within Indigenous territory. And I've had the pleasure of working with Carrie Christensen initially, and she's our Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board, one of our senior planners, and really doing some phenomenal work. This is a heavy lift in a system that doesn't really have in a system that wants to change, but are very apprehensive, and rightly so. We're apprehensive too. I mean, our Indian community is very careful about all of this relationship and the plan, and it's going well. And we are engaged with the Dakota people, some very key people in our community, some of which you all know very well. Also with Emma Pachuta. We're more on the ground with Emma because we're out at East Phillips Park doing some master planning and doing some community engagement about what do people want to see at this park. It's East Phillips Park as well as Cedar Field. And, we always felt like Little Earth was like the owner of Cedar Field. But it is Minneapolis Park and Rec. We've had a great relationship with Little Earth over the years. And we're looking at some phenomenal improvements over there. The community is excited. We're going to be doing some engagement within the next week or so, couple weeks, with the broader East Phillips community. They're getting excited. So it's well-deserved improvements, some really super engaged park participants, residents, our community. So I think what we've got going with this partnership is going in a good direction, and it's being well received. Ladies, do you want to chip in or?
Before they jump in, Carrie, I just got to say it's so important for natives to be at the table, and I just want to say a big peeny gigi for you being that person. And you just have to tell these guys a little bit about Indian time if they're moving too fast for you.
Thank you very much. My grandpa used to say, when you're ready, then things will start. Or when we're done, then it'll be done. And I was telling these girls, I said, my grandpa used to host Big Drum up north where he was from in Mille Lacs, Chiminising. And those ceremonies would go for days. I would go to sleep in my grandmother's lap and wake up in her lap or in one of my aunt's laps. And that's because the things that we were discussing were so very important to all of our people, not just the Mille Lacs Lakers, but I mean, everybody that lived in that area. And there were very, very significant discussions and negotiations that went on. So again, and we never took anything lightly. And this is where I learned this was from my grandpa. And it may feel like I'm dragging my feet sometimes, ladies, but I do so for a reason. And I've mentioned it to you a few times. This work is not fast. You can't do it fast. It took 140 years for us to get here. Now we got to unwind some of that, and it's going to take some time.
Thanks, Carrie. Emma, I'm going to go to you next because I don't want to go Carrie because then I'll start getting confused. But Emma, how important has it been in a learning experience for you about what Carrie One has been saying about us and how things that are different from when you learned in school that are more of a reality now. How is that look to you?
Yeah, that's a great question, Robert. I've been so lucky and fortunate to be able to work with Carrie Day. I've learned so much from her. She's been such an invaluable resource on the work that we're doing together. And as she mentioned, we are on the ground really working with the East Phillips Park planning process. We are working to create some new improvements or new designs for Cedarfield Park and East Phillips Park. In regards to your question about, I think you asked sort of like, what have I learned, or how have I sort of evolved in my thinking? To be quite honest, I've worked with a lot of different cultural communities in St. Paul before I came to the park board, but I've actually never worked with the Native community. So I'm learning a whole lot. I hope Carrie Day agrees that I really try to listen and pause when we're working on the ground. And we really have tried to respond a lot to what we're hearing from the community. We are trying to not move very quickly. We actually are trying to really hear what folks are saying and think about how our park planning process can really respond to what the community is saying.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. And Carrie number 2, Carrie Christensen. This is just so I don't get confused, but the education is a big role, and not only for you guys in leadership, but the people that work for the parks too. How is that a challenge, and how are you meeting it as a challenge to educate about Native ways and Indigenous ways?
Yeah, thanks again for having us. And I echo everything that Emma says about working with Carrie Day. I think having her here, I think she named it on day one of part of my role is to educate and to be here to represent my people. And I think that's a beautiful continuous thread of education that's happening across the system on a daily basis with the first ever Indigenous Parks Liaison, which is the role that Carrie Day is playing. And then I would also, this summer actually, I think we've informally called it our Summer of Learning. And there's been a lot of amazing field trips that have been happening for staff across the agency. We did a field trip and work session in the Cultural Garden at Prairie Island a few weeks ago with the amazing plant wisdom human that is Nikki Buck and her crew. So that was our natural resource management staff and our environmental education staff were there working alongside her. And that was just an incredible experience for all of us that were there. We also were able to visit the new and amazing Minneapolis American Indian Center, which if you've been to Minneapolis parks, you know that recreation centers are a big part of what we offer community. But man, to see that space and just what a jewel of community and what a community center that place has become in its sort of new incarnation is just so inspiring. We learned a ton about offering services to community in built form and in programmatic form while we were there. We also actually are hosting the Why Treaties Matter exhibit up here at Park Board headquarters. We are located up on West River Road, right just north of Broadway in North Minneapolis. If anyone cares to come and check out the exhibit, it's up for another week. It's open to the public. It's in our sort of lobby area. So that's part of this is community learning, part of it's staff learning, part of it's leadership learning. And my one last very exciting development is that next Wednesday, we're working with our Board of Commissioners to do almost like a circle process of learning around Dakota past, present, future connections to the region. And we'll be working toward some statement language, some commitment language, some pledge language with them in this sphere of reconciliation, of Indigenous, of really taking an action-oriented approach, though, to that, I will say. And so we're really excited about all the learning that's happening in so many different ways.
Well, this is really exciting. We're here with the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board, and we're talking over a lot of stuff, and it's going really too fast for me. This is Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and yes, I agree. Treaties matter. We'll be right back after this short break. Oh,
Imagine over 7,000 voices from around the globe coming together in harmony in Minneapolis. This summer, Gala Choruses Festival 2024 comes to Minnesota. It's the world's largest LGBTQ plus singing event. From July 10th through 14th, Minneapolis will be transformed into a vibrant city of song. Join 122 courses from places as far as China, Estonia, Finland, Ukraine, and Taiwan for 5 unforgettable days of wall-to-wall concerts, workshops, and social events at world-class venues like Orchestra Hall, the Minneapolis Convention Center, and Central Lutheran Church. And check out the many ways to connect with trans, non-binary, and intersex communities while at the festival. Find the full schedule of these events at galacourses.org. In-person tickets are available to the public, along with a stream of every performance live and on demand at galacourses.org. Celebrate love, diversity, and the power of music at Gala Choruses Festival 2024, where every voice matters. July 10th through 14th in downtown Minneapolis.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Anine, I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Wow. Hey, the park board did have no problem joining in on the howl. Oh, wow. Hey, I want to, before the show is flying by, before I get any further, we should just do a full show with you guys because I'm still on the first question here and I have 2 more pages to go. Oh, wow. But there's so many things going on. Acknowledgement, training, mapping, workforce development, access, interpretation, action, land stewardship. There is so much going on. Emma, where do we start? Where do we start?
I'm actually going to pass this over to one of the Carries because they've been working on this specific stuff much more than I have, if that's okay.
That's good, Emma, because I just wanted to say hi to you, and then we'll move it to the Carries now that I'm not confused on the Carries. Let's go with Carrie Christensen. How about that?
All right. So one of the things that we've been working on as part of this action plan, we're calling it, is really trying to lead with action at the park board. We understand acknowledgement is really important, and to acknowledge that we are on Dakota land, and that there's a really rich indigenous community here in Minneapolis that we are accountable to. So I think that as we start to identify like what actually is this work, some of the near term outcomes, if we think of it through an evaluation model, is about increasing access for community to park systems, to park spaces, to park power structures, but also about increasing access for staff, for elected officials, for leadership, and better connections to both our local urban indigenous community, but also to tribal governments and local leaders. So how do it's kind of a two-way street of thinking about, I'd say that's in the most immediate sense of this work. I think it's about increasing access from both sides.
Well, Carrie, I want to stick with you again. I just want to ask too, because the show is flying by, I want to talk a little bit about workforce development and what's your vision and what are you guys thinking about on that?
So on a very base level, it's about working to increase the representation of Native workforce at the park board. And so that could happen in lots of ways. We're a big youth employer here, and there's youth working in all different spaces of our system. And there's also opportunities. We have our own, as you may know, the park board is a separate government agency from the city of Minneapolis. So we in fact have our own police force. And so there's actually a lot of interest from our chief of police to do better outreach in the Native community. There's also just working across the entire system, leadership positions. Carrie Day is always really good about advocating for the fact that the labor force needs to be across the entire sort of stratosphere of the park board, from elected officials to executives to boots on the ground. We need to have representation of the Native community there.
Yeah, definitely. Carrie Day, talk a little bit about that. And we know here on Native Roots Radio how important that is, but you know, everywhere from land stewardship to people working that look like us. And,
yeah, this is a system where you walk in the front door and there's nobody there that I could see that looked like me at all. And the looks and the stares, it was like, okay, we're going to really do this because here she comes, kind of thing. And it's been so interesting because they are open to learning new things, and I hate to make them sound like it's our partners here in this are doing their best within the construct that they have to help start making these changes. Not easy for some really just like that same old. But when I came in, I was like, I could see Native people working in the accounting office. When I want to go and complain about finances, I'd like to see somebody that looks like me so I could relate a little bit better. Same thing with park police. You know, our kids over at Little Earth, they really actually love the park police. They love the horses. They like what they bring. And so I would really like to see some of our young adults consider a career in law enforcement. They would do so well with just between the land, water, sky, and animals and that we steward through this system. We could really make a huge contribution to this leadership. We have so many smart people in our community, well-educated, lots of experience, lots of knowledge, elders that need to be asked to participate. And so I'm opening, again, when asked, I open up my treasure chest of all these folks and just, it isn't like I'm handing it out like candy, but I do go back and say, these people want to know about us. How should I proceed? This is not a Carrie Day deal. This is for our people, for the Dakota people, for us to have some say, to be in the front instead of hiding in the woods somewhere. It's a new day. And I just am so excited about all this work. Yeah, there's 7 focus areas. But again, there is something that ties us culturally to each of those 8 focus areas, and we are experts in those areas. And that's what I'm hoping to provide that opportunity to these folks and get that long-term commitment from them. I wouldn't have taken this on if it was just going to be a wham bam, thanks, we checked our box and off. I really feel like there's opportunity here, and that we have willing partners, and that's a big deal in a system this big. And we have Natives in there that are waiting for this. First thing I asked was, how many Natives have we got working for this workforce? Are more than are there staff that do other things besides mow the lawn and trim the hedges? So again, that's how strongly I feel about this. We deserve to have our expertise and knowledge in this circle, and I'm here to open up those doors for those opportunities.
Emma, can we handle the excitement? I think I'm feeling it. How about you? Thank you so much, Carrie Day. Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I always enjoy hearing Carrie Day share her experiences, whether they're personal or work professional related. Robert, I hope you don't mind. Before we end, I just wanted to make a plug. Carrie Day and I have been working with community partners like Little Earth, NACD, and the Midtown Greenway Coalition on an event next Tuesday from 4 to 8 p.m. At 4 p.m. we'll be at Cedar Field from 4 to 6. There'll be food, there'll be games, there'll be music, and then we're going to head over to East Phillips at 6 from 6 to 8. And again, there'll be we've got Aztec dancers are going to perform. We've got some food. We really hope this is going to be a great kickoff for our park planning project. So if you live in the neighborhood, if you go to either park, we hope you come on down and talk to us about what you want to see in the parks in the future.
And I think the key is free food. Carrie Christensen, that sounds exciting.
Always. Carrie Day always has us bring the food.
Yep. Food is love. Food is love in our community. With love.
That's right. Well, I want to do this again as soon as possible, and I want to have a full show with all you guys because we just hit the tip of the iceberg. And Carrie and Emma, you are doing such great work for the community. And I'm really excited. This was a lot of fun for me, and again, way too fast.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, Robert. We'd love to come back if you'll have us.
We definitely will. This has been fun. Hey, if you're listening to this show, you're part of the resistance. From Chief Plenty Coops, the ground on which we stand on is sacred ground. It is the blood of our ancestors. We need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office, vote. We're still here. We are the seventh generation.
And free Leonard Peltier now.
Crooner's Supper Club invites you to enjoy drinks, a